Minnesota Timberwolves. Made them quit. Made them tap out. Made them say no mas. We're going to talk about that today in this video. But before we dive in, make sure you smash the like button, hit subscribe, and the bell for notifications. Remember, it's a small thing for you, but a big thing for the channel. So go ahead and smash that like button. This was a hell of a game. Hell of a game in terms of how resolute our defense has continued to be as the season has continued on. Something I had to kind of sit back and recognize that, it's really hard to play that level of defense for a full season. And if I'm honest with you, the Pistons look tired. Jalen Duren looks tired. Dennis Jenkins looks tired. Most of the team looked tired, but the thing is, the other team is tired too. The other team was tired too. And Minnesota was basically banking on somebody getting hot to kind of ride a hot hand to have a chance to win. And we just never let anybody really get going. Outside of Dante DiVincenzo, no one in Minnesota could really find a rhythm because of our defense. And that's a testament to just how great our defense is, how disruptive it is. I don't know if any of y'all have ever played pickup ball. Well, let me just talk so I can really get this analogy here, so you can get the picture. Imagine you're in your 30s, maybe late 30s, early 40s, and you're going out there for some cardio. You want to have a good time. You want to play some ball. You bring your friends. They're around the same age. You're out there getting warmed up, stretched, and then you see a bunch of early college, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who look like they just got out of AAU practice. They look like they just finished practice for their JUCO team. Maybe they're on the intramural team. They're tall, they're long, they're lanky, athletic as hell. They don't even stretch. They don't even tie up their shoes. They just get out there and they just start dunking the ball, right? And after a while, it's kind of like, man, I didn't really come out here for this, man. I didn't come out here to get dunked on. I didn't come out here for these kids to go run past me. I'm not in my athletic prime anymore. That was kind of the difference in this game. That the Detroit Pistons had the horses to push the pace, to play with the level of energy, determination, physicality. They got up into them in ways that nobody really wanted. Nobody wanted that smoke from Minnesota. Terrence Shannon, he was a young guy. He was kind of like, all right, I could do my thing. And he was able to do a couple things, but not enough. Dante DiVincenzo, he's always going to play with energy, but not enough. But the rest of the crew, the rest of the starters, Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert, 38-year-old Mike Conley, none of the rest of those guys wanted any of the smoke. Not one bit of it. Not one puff. They didn't want any of the smoke. I'm not going to act like it was everybody on the Pistons who came out with this great energy. But it's the style of play that makes it so difficult to overcome. When you're playing against someone who's more athletic than you, who's longer than you, who's quicker, who's taller, and they want to use all of that to play defense, sometimes you just ain't got it. Sometimes you just don't have, you just rather just move on. You would just rather move on. Watching this game, it was interesting to see who was stepping up and who was not. It was interesting to see for the Detroit Pistons who was coming to the forefront, who was playing and saying, you know what? Let's go get this victory. Let's go get this win. I got it, guys. And if I had to really point to, let's say, 3 guys, it would have been Kevin Huerter again, Dennis Jenkins, and probably Ron Holland. Ron Holland, who I have definitely, I've been on his case. I've been on his case. But these are the games why you need a Ron Holland. These are the games why they usually say the regular season is for the young teams. That teams whose general age range is between 24 and 28. Those teams are built for the regular season. Run up and down when everyone's tired. Yeah, and Paul Reed, shout out to Paul Reed. I was vacillating as I was giving my top 3 between Ron Holland and Paul Reed. Paul Reed, he turned away Julius Randle so many times, not just blocking a shot, but disrupting his drives, showing the lateral mobility to not only move his feet side to side, stay defensively responsible, didn't get caught up in the air, stayed upright, maintained his verticality, used quick hands to anticipate his handle going into his shot, completely frustrated Julius Randle. Julius Randle, who's been an all-star, all-NBA performer, shot 2 of 13. 2 of 13. And the majority of that was Paul Reed guarding. Jalen Duren did not have it tonight. He looked like he didn't want to be in Minnesota at all. I don't know what it was. He just looked like he was like, man, let's pack it up. Let's pack it up. And to be honest, Paul Reed, I think he played only 17 minutes. It felt like he played more. It felt like he played more. Jalen Duren had 29 minutes. I'm impressed with Paul Reed. Paul Reed, to me, is someone whom I would trust to play the 4 alongside of Isaiah Stewart playing the 5. If I'm honest with you, I'm more than open to that. His ability to move his feet, rotate on defense, secure rebounds, challenge shots, get up and down the court was just beautiful to watch. It was just beautiful to watch. And we needed it because, like I said, Duren, he didn't have it. He didn't have it tonight. He really, and I don't know if it was Rudy Gobert, but it was one of those nights where he was just like, you know what? I'm going to let these other boys cook. And cook, they did. Tobias Harris, I think he had, 13 points in the first quarter? I mean, Uncle T, what I love about Uncle T is he's going to consistently play at a level 7 to 8. You're not going to get too many 9s and 10s where he's over 20-some points. No. But you're going to get 7 and 8, which is going to get you that 14 to 18 points. And usually when you need it the most. When everyone else is sluggish and slow, that first quarter, we could have easily fallen behind. And if we had been playing from behind against that team, it would have been tough for us to catch up because we didn't necessarily have an explosive offense. We basically played great defense and then just had guys make shots and just outpace the Minnesota Timberwolves. Somewhere in that third quarter, Minnesota Timberwolves said, no mas. I'm done. I'm good. It's been a good night. It's been a long week. I'm ready to go home, tuck my kids into bed. That's what it felt like. And I understand because how many games are we into this season? We are now, what's our record? So we're about 70, 76 games. No, 74 games into the season. 74 games. Hot damn. Like people don't really understand like what it means to play that much basketball. It's hard to keep your energy up, which is why both the teams like there were points in this game where it was just some ugly basketball. It was ugly. It was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And unfortunately, the guys who I wanted to step up, I've been waiting for Marcus Sasser to just start letting that thing go. Like, bro, like you're not gonna get another chance like this, bro. He's gonna mess around, and we're gonna draft another point guard, and maybe move Danis Jenkins into the starting lineup alongside Cade, or we find somebody else to play alongside Cade, like a Kevin Huerter, and then Danis Jenkins is the sixth man. I don't know if Marcus Sasser gets another opportunity. So I was looking for him to just let that thing go. But like I said in the post earlier, I don't think his body is right. I think that he is playing because we need another ball handler off the bench. I think it's one of those situations where typically he would be out healing up, but maybe it's one of those where he feels good enough to help out the team, but he doesn't feel good enough to really be in his bag and play his game. Because to continuously pick up the ball at half court, just past half court, one is like a point guard no. You don't ever pick up the ball above that circle, unless you're getting pressured and you just can't handle it. But he had Bones Highland guarding him. He should have had Bones Highland on skates all day, and he didn't. And so for me, I was like, okay, well, if Marcus Sasser's not going to get up shots, who is? And once again, in JB Bickerstaff fashion, I keep saying this. I will always say, I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind being wrong. And if something that I say turns out to be something else as time goes on, I'll admit it. I'll admit it. I've been frustrated for most of the season about how much JB Bickerstaff has stayed with his veterans. Just continue, like, no matter how bad Karis LeVert was playing, no matter how they looked out there, he just vets. And for the most part, the vets have been cool, but not at the taking away of minutes from guys like Asar Thompson, Ron Holland. I wanted them to get more minutes. And now towards the end of the season, I get it. I get it. This is the reason why you don't judge a book by its cover. You don't judge it at face value. You take some time and let things play out, because as it's playing out, the best players for us down this stretch over the last maybe 10 to 15 games have been our veterans. The collection of veterans has been everything for us. Asar Thompson, absolutely disruptive on defense. He's first team all defense. He should be somewhere in the running, at least top 3 for defensive player of the year. What he does on ball is absolutely unheard of. It's just disrespectful. He is, I think he gets at least one takeaway steal on ball rip every single game. At least once. At least one time, he's going to rip you in the backcourt, at half court, by just being quicker, anticipating, moving his feet. His defense is phenomenal. And then we've got Jalen Duren. And Danis Jenkins is, he's acclimating himself. Outside of those 3 younger guys, it's been the vets. I get it. And, earlier I was talking about how I'm not sure how many minutes Ron Holland is going to get in the playoffs. I'm still not sure how many minutes he's going to get in the playoffs. If I'm honest with you, I don't know. I don't know. Tonight, Ron Holland played really well. He got 20 minutes. When Cade is back, when Stu is back, it's going to be difficult to position those minutes, especially because Dennis Jenkins goes back to the bench when Cade returns. And now we have Kevin Huerter, Karis LeVert, Paul Reed, Isaiah Stewart, Javonte Green. The majority of those guys have all been playing better than Ron outside of this game. He shot 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 4 from the three-point line, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. And if I'm honest, there were points in this game where I was shaking my head at Ron. I was like, Ron, what are you doing, bro? What are you? Why are you trying to take the whole team off the dribble, full court, 1-on-5? You could just pull it out, take your time, initiate offense. No? Okay, you want to turn it over? Okay. Hey, that was your rotation on defense. Did you? Okay, you missed that one too. Yep, step back threes. Ron Holland, had some moments that made you scratch your head like, bro, I don't know if I would trust him in a playoff series. And this was one of his better games. So I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't know what the future holds for Ron Holland, but I will say as this team progresses, especially if they make a deep run, like if Cade comes back, Stu comes back, and we're healthy going into the playoffs, right? Hoping for the best, right? God willing, inshallah, right? We get healthy for the playoffs. Minutes are going to be hard to come by. And you're going to get those minutes based upon trust. Kevin Huerter has already come in, leapfrogged. He's already come in, contributing right now. Right now. He is absolutely contributing right now. He's the guy that comes in and he stabilizes things. He moves extremely well without the ball. He makes the extra pass. He finds guys. He scores within the flow of the offense when things get really mucked up. When guys aren't quite sure where to go, guys are playing a little timid, hesitant, and he just finds a way to be in the right spot. So if we have Kevin Huerter, if we have Dennis Jenkins, then we've got Isaiah Stewart. That's 3. You know he's going to play Karis LeVert. He's got an unwritten agreement somewhere. He's going to play him his 15 to 20 minutes a game. So that's Karis LeVert makes 4. And then you got to say, well, you got B-Ball Paul, Ron Holland, Javonte Green. But the reality is, in the playoffs, you're probably going with the 9-man rotation. So if it's Jenkins, LeVert, Huerter, and Stu, that's your rotation. That's your rotation. The veterans, shout out to them. Pulled through, Karis LeVert, knocked down jumpers. Paul Reed, as always, he just knows what to do, where to be. And his defense on Julius Randle was impeccable. It's really what caused them to quit, because they knew if they couldn't get him going, they weren't going to have the offensive firepower. And our game plan to sell out in the rotation to stop Julius Randle, even if Rudy Gobert got layups and dunks, sure. But Rudy Gobert is not going to beat us offensively. You can give him 10 points. You can give Rudy Gobert 15 points. We're not worried about it. If Rudy Gobert is a top 3 scorer for the Minnesota Timberwolves, they lost the game. And in this game, he was. He had 14. Second leading scorer. They're not going to win. That was the reality for the game. Now, moving forward, I can appreciate the type of play that I'm seeing from the Detroit Pistons. If I'm honest with you, it feels really good to know what to expect this deep into the season, even without Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Stewart. That the culture and the identity of this team continues to self-perpetuate itself. We have Oklahoma City coming up next. Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren. It's going to be a formidable front court. Excuse me. It's going to be a formidable front court. Jalen Duren is going to have his work cut out for him. And the thing is, Jalen Duren and Chet Holmgren were in the same draft together. I want to probably say there's probably an unspoken, unsaid rivalry between them, right? Chet Holmgren going much higher than Jalen Duren. And they've competed against each other throughout high school, right? Two top center prospects of their class. I expect Jalen Duren to come out blazing, aggressive, especially because in this game, it looked like he just downshifted. It was like, I'm going to let y'all have this game. I'm focused on the next one. But as we continue to close out this season, it's a beautiful thing to watch this team play the level of defense that they are, play together as a team, watching guys step up. Even though Danis Jenkins missed a lot of shots in this game, I would have to say he was still taking shots I would have wanted him to take. And Cohen Jr., one of the members, it's good to see you in the chat. Shea versus Asar. I got my popcorn ready. Yep. We're going to need Duren to be locked in mentally and ready to dominate. Oh, facts. Big facts. One of the things that I'm recognizing Asar Thompson is learning how to do, and this is what I've constantly really tried to emphasize with Asar Thompson. Being a great defender doesn't mean you always have to make the play. You just make sure that you are constantly in position to make the play. You're moving your feet. You're anticipating. You're waiting for the offensive player to get too loose with their handle, to get off balance, get unfocused, be or do something predictable, and then you make the play. Sometimes Asar gets so disrespectful, he's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna go for the ball, and he gets himself into foul trouble that way. Against SGA, he's gonna need to do his homework, and he probably is, because Asar looks like a very studious young man. He also takes pride in his defense. And these are one of those moments where it's like, this is where all eyes are going to be watching. Oklahoma City, I want to say, is the only team with a better record than the Detroit Pistons. Let me see. Detroit is now 54-20. Okay, the Spurs have a better record also. So the Spurs and the Thunder, only two teams with a better record. Thank you, Ghost Keeper. Definitely smash the like button for me. I appreciate it. Remember, it's a small thing for you, big thing for the channel. This is one of those games where Asar Thompson has the ability to really cement himself in that Defensive Player of the Year running, first team all defense. And these are things that if his agent is in his ear, like, yo, this is also contract. You're available for an extension this summer. There's the business side of this. You played 35 minutes of great defense on SGA and J-Dub. You shut them down. And not even shut them down, but make it a tough night. Get them shooting under 50%. Right? Don't let SGA go out there and have a 12 of 14 from the field, 10 of 12 from the free throw line type of night. Keep him contained. Keep him under 50% from the field. If you keep SGA from shooting over 50% from the field, you've done a great job defensively. You disrupt their flow, cutting off the head of the snake. And keep in mind, what's going to be really dope to watch about that matchup is knowing that SGA knows he has to attack Asar Thompson. He has to attack him first, which means that he's going to immediately look to get into his body and look to put the pressure on the referees to make the call, to say, hey, I'm an MVP, NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP. You're not going to let this guy come in and just rough me up. And so I'm going to put the pressure on you, referee, by being the aggressor, keeping Asar Thompson on his heels. Because the moment you slow down against a defender like Asar Thompson, I mean, it's curtains for you. It's curtains. And so we'll see what he can do. Now, the thing that I also love is that we got Danis Jenkins out there who actually might end up starting on SGA, but they should be switching between J-Dub and SGA. The big question will be, what do we do with Tobias Harris and Chet Holmgren? That's going to be an interesting matchup. We've got Duncan Robinson, knowing that he's going to have Lou Dort chasing him around. It really is going to be one of those games where we have to get our energy up for it, because if we don't, that's a team that's going to be able to run away with it, because they also have a defense, a high-level defense, that's going to be able to quickly produce offense from turnovers. We can't have another night where we're turning the ball over. And let me see how many turnovers we ended this game with. We ended this game with 19 turnovers. 19. If we have 19 turnovers against the Oklahoma City Thunder, we're not winning that game. I don't see us winning that game. Now, another topic. I've been looking at this offseason. We get to the point where we've pretty much seen everything that we need to see, that we're going to see from these Detroit Pistons in terms of the roster, what their potential is, what their abilities are. Danis Jenkins, who we're still exploring, right? Because some of the shots that he's taking and missing feels like he's still figuring it out, versus like, nah, he can't do that. He's figuring out when he can drive, against who he can drive, how to get to his spots, his shots. And so he's still a bit of a question mark. But other guys, like Asar, Tobias, Duran, Robinson, Paul Reed, Stu, Levert, Herter, right, and the rest, we know what they are. And at this point, we're sitting there like, okay, what are the holes in our roster? What are the areas where we've got to get better? Rebounding, shooting, ball security. We need guys who can play a great floor game. We need guys who can also maintain our level of defensive intensity. And so when we start to look at the contracts of guys like Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, Kevin Herter, Javonte Green, these are all guys, and I think I said Duncan Robinson, these are all contracts that we're going to have to make decisions on. We're going to have to make decisions because Jalen Duren is going to get paid. He's going to get his 32 to 36 million a year. I don't think he makes all NBA, but who knows? He could make the all NBA team. And that would bump him up to maybe 36 to 38 million. But it's to say that once we do that, now we're looking at the payroll a little bit different. Tobias Harris, you're not going to get 20-something a year. You're not going to get that same mark that you got this past year. And so we're going to have to start figuring out where do we want to put our resources. The guys under contract for next year: Cade Cunningham, Isaiah Stewart, Karis LeVert, Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, Danis Jenkins, Marcus Sasser, Bobby Klintman, Chaz Lanier. Duncan Robinson has a partially guaranteed contract for next year. Paul Reed has a partially guaranteed contract for next year. And Bobby Klintman has a partially guaranteed contract. We have to pick up his option. We're going to have the financial ability to go out and get somebody. We will have the ability to go out and get somebody. We'll need to do it day one. Real Estate Page says, can't let nobody walk how we did Tim Hardaway and Dennis Schroeder. You know what? I'm not mad at those. As much as it would have been nice to have had Dennis Schroeder for a full season, I don't think we discovered Danis Jenkins. If we have Dennis Schroeder, we don't discover Danis Jenkins. Yeah, D-Dubs. These are a bunch of headstrong guys. Great victory. Road to 60. We just might get to 60. We're at 54 wins. We can get to 60. I'm not trying to shoot for it. I'll sell for 58. If I'm honest with you, I'm trying to think of the remaining schedule. If we have any more back-to-back games, I would sit my starters. Ghostkeeper says I do miss Tim Hardaway Jr., though. I don't. Charles Butler said, what about Cam Thomas as an option? Bro, come on, man. Why would we want Cam Thomas and we got Chaz Lanier? Say, Chiefy Holiday says, who, though? The free agent list don't look that good. Do you think it's going to be a trade? Could be a trade. I do like guys like P.J. Washington. That's been a name that's been high on my list. Let me see. For the Dallas Mavericks. Let's see. P.J. Oh, he got extended. They extended him. Damn. I didn't know that they extended. That's why I like to have my stats. Yeah, so that's one that may not be available. You know, it's going to be interesting because this also then puts. So if you do not have a strong free agent class, it makes re-signing your guys that much more important. The problem is you don't want to overpay them because then it kind of hamstrings your cap flexibility moving forward. So when you look at who's available and what you're needing, that's where it's going to get sticky. Okay, who can I go out there and get who can contribute to winning for this team? Right? You look at different guys who might be available. I'm thinking, like, let's say, Philadelphia 76ers. Right? What's his name? Trendon Watford. He's still under contract. Yeah, he has a team option that's likely going to get picked up. The guys like Kelly Oubre. Nah. Quentin Grimes. Yeah. I like Quentin Grimes a lot. But do I like him more than the rotation that we already have? Is he that much better than a Duncan Robinson? Maybe. I think Quentin Grimes has more. He's almost like if Kevin Huerter was a better three-point shooter. All right. If he was able to shoot 6+ threes per game, that would be Quentin Grimes. Charles Butler said I always like both. Charles Butler, I don't know if you trolling, capping, you throwing out Bol and Cam Thomas. Come on now. We could do better than that. We could do better than that. Chief Holiday says Norman Powell, Anthony Simons, probably best free agents available. Potentially. But as much as I like Norman Powell is 172. I don't know if he fits our timeline. You know, he's 32 years old, getting paid $20 million. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that is what I would want to invest in. You know, because keep in mind, Jalen Duren's 22 years old. Cade Cunningham is 23, going on 24 years old. This is a very young team. And the guys that you add to this roster need to be able to take the journey, or you need to maintain being flexible enough, financially, cap-wise, flexible enough to be able to make moves as time goes on. Look, I'm looking at this team. What I would honestly, if I'm honest with you, I would like us to bring back most of these guys. Most of these guys. I would be okay with bringing back the majority of these guys. Tobias Harris probably is not going to get $26.5 million. He's probably going to get something closer to, let's say, 18 to 20. Maybe on a descending contract over the next 3 years, with the last year being a team option. I can see Duncan Robinson's contract being picked up next year for just under $16 million, but that makes it hard to re-sign Kevin Huerter, right? Kevin Huerter is getting paid just about $18 million a year. Do we pay him the 18? Or does he get something closer to probably 14 or 15? Tobias Harris drops down to 18 to 20. Jalen Duren gets bumped up to 34. Javonte Green is the one that we're probably going to really, truly miss. He might be the one that the numbers just don't pan out for. I think he's like, I heard a stat, he's like fourth in steals, in total steals, despite coming off the bench. Javonte Green is one of the greatest steal magnets in the NBA. He's only getting paid right now a veteran's minimum. He's getting paid less than Marcus Sasser. Getting paid $2 million off the bench. I can't see. Oh my God, he said Malik Beasley. No, Malik Beasley is never coming back. Never coming back, bro. Just let it go. Just let it go. We're not going to see him again. We're not going to see him again. What I would like to see, honestly, is we bring back the majority of these guys. It's going to be hard to bring back Javonte Green, even though he does a lot for us, bro. He does a lot for us. The reality is, if we can move off of Karis LeVert and then re-sign Kevin Huerter and Javonte Green, that would be a coup for our offseason. You still got Ron Holland, Dennis Jenkins, Marcus Sasser. You still got Chaz Zanier. You got that rotation. I definitely want to see Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart play more minutes together against bigger, more physical lineups. But the reality is, it's going to be a numbers crunch. It's going to be a numbers crunch, but this is a good team. And I don't know if what's available out there is better. Somebody said Al DeSumo. Did Al DeSumo get re-signed yet or extended? No, he does. No, he's not. No, he is not. Those those are the guys. But keep in mind, Minnesota does have his bird rights, which allows him to go um, over the cap as long as they are under the second apron, I believe. Yeah, they should have money cleared up to be able to do that. But it's going to get interesting. This second apron, I mean, it's, oh, man. Well, I know that, what's his name? Adam Silver. You know, he's announcing that the NBA has okayed and given the thumbs up for the expansion. We all knew it was coming, right? Seattle, uh, Las Vegas, Memphis, and New Orleans get pushed out to the east. I think that's going to be great for the league. It's going to allow some guys to get paid who would not have under the second apron. Um, I still don't like the second apron. I don't like that deal. I think it's bogus. I think the whole salary cap. I honestly, I wish a player would just take it to the Supreme Court and just take them all the way there and say, "Hey, this second apron bullshit. Yeah, it's unconstitutional, and I would like to sue the NBA or the NFL. Just do it. Like somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. Just break through that thing. Because as soon as it does, what you're going to find is that one, these teams have so much more money to spend, and it's going to allow us to retain our teams. It's going to allow us to retain these teams that we love, and we can stop being in this. Oh well, you know it's a numbers crunch, and we can't afford to bring your guys back. Bring the guys back. These teams should not be splitting up because of salary cap, especially guys that have been on the team the whole time. But I digress. This offseason is going to be interesting. And I'm talking a little bit about the offseason in lieu of the playoffs, but also because of the draft. You know, if I'm honest with you, the draft to me has always been a crapshoot. Uh, Guys are not guaranteed to develop in any particular way. Um, the draft is another thing that I love how Bomani Jones on his show he put it. He was like, you know, the draft is just how organizations maintain control over players and their salary distribution. So in other words, I control your movement, where you go, and I control what your earning potential is. You can imagine somebody like Zion Williamson. You get drafted number one, you're probably worth 40, 50, $60 million a year because of the revenue that you bring into the stadium, to that team, to now because you're there, people want to buy more tickets so you can raise the prices so you get more corporations who buy box seats, and then you also get to charge more for advertisement within the stadium and for the local television deals, right? Not to mention merchandise, not to mention parking lot and stadium vendors for food, shirts, jerseys, all this stuff, right? Like because of one guy, right? That's why Giannis, even if you're losing, is so valuable. That's why LeBron James just being there raises the value of the Los Angeles Lakers by probably somewhere close to $500 million. All right, so these teams have a lot of money to spend. And these things that they put in the way really just to try to make even more money. Um, you know, just it just diminishes, it waters down the competitiveness of the league. The reality is like teams who are smart enough to build winning teams should be rewarded. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think that Kevin Huerter is a starter. I don't think that Kevin Huerter is a starter, if I'm honest with you. That's not somebody whom I would start for a playoff team. Duncan Robinson either. Really good players. Really good players. I enjoy their game. But I think we're going to see as the playoffs ensue, and we have to match up with Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and those guys. But if I'm honest with you, the two guard position used to be the position, right? That 2-3, Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady, those boys, like it used to be the preeminent position. Carmelo Anthony, D Wade, Ray Allen. It used to be that position. It's no longer that position anymore. It really isn't that position. You can get away with having, I think, a Duncan Robinson as long as he doesn't get exploited on defense. But we know that he does. And so in the playoffs, that's something I am concerned about. I am concerned if Duncan Robinson can hold his own throughout a playoff series. We're going to find out. We are going to find out. But I do appreciate that Duncan Robinson has the pedigree of playing with the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat don't play. If you're not playing defense, bro, if you're not playing defense, you don't see the court. So the fact that Duncan Robinson has been, I do like Isaiah Evans, Savant made, by the way, in the chat. I like him a lot. But physically, I don't think he's ready. Physically, I don't think he's ready. I like Sarr better coming out of Duke. But I digress. Duncan Robinson, I know he's going to give the effort. Can he be good enough in the midst of getting hunted? The thing is with Cade Cunningham, when he returns, and now we have to choose between Cade and Robinson to guard the primary wing, because we know that we have to put a Sarr on Brunson, right? Because we know that we have to put a Sarr now on the best perimeter player. It leaves either Cade or Robinson to have to guard another elite scorer on the perimeter. And I don't think either are really suited for that. You don't necessarily want them to be doing that because of what you asked them to do offensively. And so our defense, to a degree, takes a step back when it's Cade and Robinson manning that backcourt. You would typically want somebody who could take the lead defensively while the other person takes the lead offensively. You'd want that kind of balance, but you don't necessarily have that between those two. And so they kind of get caught in the mix there. And I would say Asar Thompson helps them out a lot. He really does. But we're going to find out. It's going to be an interesting playoff run, if I'm honest with you, because the first round might be a lot harder than even the second round. If I'm honest with you, it might be harder than the second round, right? Like, I would rather face the Knicks than maybe have to do a series against Charlotte right now, who's surging, or the Hawks. These aren't necessarily teams that I want to have to see in a first round, but yet when we're looking at the play-in tournament, we're looking at the seeding right now. That's exactly what we're looking at. It's exactly what we're looking at. Right now, as it stands, so you got the Hornets and the Heat, identical records, 39 and 35. The Magic 39-34, so barely half a game above both of them. And then the 76ers 41-33. So they're a little bit more set. 76ers are right behind the Atlanta Hawks in terms of seeding, and that's 6-7 seeding. Let me see, the fifth seed, 41-32. The Raptors are kind of solidified there. It's probably going to be the Magic, Hornets, or Heat that we end up facing. If I had to guess, I don't think the Magic are playing well enough to get out of the play-in. I think 76ers probably end up – 76ers or the Hawks are going to get out of the play-in and be the 7th seed more than likely, and we're going to have to face either the Heat or the Hornets. And both of them have the ability to give us issues. Both are playing some really good basketball. Charles Brothers says Charlotte is going to be a problem next year if they keep their squad together. True. But every year is another year. We don't know what it's going to look like from year to year. We don't. We can guess. Who would have thought Boston would have been this good? I knew they were going to be in the playoffs. I knew that if Jaylen Brown could stay healthy, he was going to push for an MVP year, and he was going to push to keep that Boston Celtics team competitive because you could just tell he has that wiring. He has that competitive wiring where he knows he's trying to prove against a narrative about who he is and who he's not. And for the most part, he's done exactly that. For the most part, he might be a Hall of Fame player already. You win a Finals MVP. 3, 4, 5-time All-Star, NBA champion. You're in the Hall of Fame. That's just how it goes. Let me see. Hornets lost to Philly tonight. Yep. Every year they say Charlotte's going to make a jump. I'm still not convinced. Yeah, you got to show me. You got to, because I'm not convinced about LaMelo Ball in the playoffs. I don't know if his style fits the playoffs. His very loose, carefree style, it might be aesthetically appealing. It might look good, but in the playoff setting where you're allowed to be more physical, where you have to be more precise and deliberate, I think that's where he is forced to play a style that's not necessarily his strong suit. Now, if I had to tell you a team that I am concerned about taking a jump, it's probably the Wizards. Trae Young is a floor raiser. And you add Anthony Davis to that. Playing alongside Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Bilal Coulibaly. You got Bub Carrington and Trey Johnson off the bench. And then you get a top pick. What if they get Cam Boozer, AJ DeBonson, Caleb Wilson, now off the bench? That team begins to look real scary real quick. Yeah, I'm not really worried about the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are still probably 2 years away. Washington is right now. Washington is next season. Next season, they will be in the playoffs. Somebody's going to get pushed out. I think Suns going supersize people, going to surprise people. I can see the Suns. But the thing is, like I always say, every year is brand new. It has to play out. We thought Jimmy Butler and Stephen Curry were going to be able to do some big things. Jimmy Butler tears the ACL. Steph has been hobbled, and they're the 10th seed right now. They look pretty entrenched in that 10th seed too. between them and Portland. And that's actually going to be a really good game because Portland plays some great defense. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason. The draft, I'll do some more draft content as we get a little bit closer to that point in time. I'm really curious to see how the playing plays out. LaMelo Ball, I've always been a big Ball brothers fan. I always thought it was a shame that Jello never really got his opportunity in the NBA. I thought he could have been a Chaz Lanier type, just a shooter, designated shooter. All that's to say is LaMelo Ball has to show me something at this point. If he gets knocked out of the play-in, we have to start talking about him different. The way this team is surging, the way his team is surging, the way his team is needing him to play a style that really is focused on the rest of his team, making everyone better. And then you got teams like the Cavs. You got the Cavs with that expensive payroll. Now with James Harden, right? Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen. Yo, if they get knocked out of the second round, injuries or not, that team is going to look different next season. Somebody's got to go. It's either going to be Evan Mobley or it's going to be Jarrett Allen. And that's going to shift the balance as well. Right? And so watching these playoffs unfold is going to be really interesting. Really interesting. Because the thing is, you also got to keep in mind, like Philly, their record is what it is because they've been essentially saying, we are going to save. We're going to save Paul George and Joel Embiid for the playoffs. And we're going to sacrifice it. We're going to sacrifice the seasonal wins to have them healthy for the playoffs. And as we've seen tonight, Paul George, 26 points, 13 rebounds. Joel Embiid, 29 points. Right? Like VJ Edgecombe with 13, 5, and 3. Tyrese Maxey, 26, 7, and 8. Like, they balling, bro. So they're not really a 7th seed team. Right? If Joel Embiid and Paul George could play in the 82-game season, they would be probably a top 3 seed. But they've had to work it how they did. So now they're a 7th seed, and they're sneaking in on the backside of the playoffs through the play-in. So you imagine that first-round series. I mean, that's a hell of a first round. 76ers and the Celtics. If I'm the Celtics, I'd be mad as hell. I would be mad as hell. I'd be mad as it is what it is, but I'd be mad as hell. That is essentially why, if we're honest, that's why Boston wants to get that first seed, the number 1 seed. Because if you can have Charlotte or Miami in that first round instead of Philly, bro, you better do it. You better do it. You don't want to have to see Joel Embiid and Paul George and Tyrese Maxey with VJ, with Quentin Grimes, with what's his name, Kelly Oubre, right? All them, like, that's a lot coming at you. That's a lot coming at you. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Our side of the bracket, I'm cool with it. I'm cool. I wouldn't be shocked if the Raptors pushed the Cavs to 6 or 7 games in that first round matchup, that 4-5 seeding. I wouldn't be shocked at all. You got Scotty Barnes, first team all defense. Brandon Ingram. I actually got to get on a phone call right now. They're calling me. But hey, this was fun. I'm see y'all tomorrow. Came away with the win tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing us against OKC, y'all. OKC. Hey, do me a favor, smash that like button before we go. And I'm gonna get at y'all next.